Welcome everyone. My name is Alan Fox, and I'm here with the 2001 winner of the Drama Desk Award for Best Direction of a Play and the 2001 Tony Award for Best Direction of a Play. This play is called The Invention of Love, and his name is Jack O'Brien.
And
What's going
he's
on,
in
man?
and he's in London,
Yeah.
where that play took place and where it started.
Is that right?
Yeah, it started here. In
Well, I guess it was Stoppard, right?
Stoppard at the National.
Hmm.
That's where I first saw it. Didn't understand a fucking thing about it. But anyway, turned out to be, I think, maybe, possibly, Bob Crowley and I think this, maybe the most beautiful show I ever did. You didn't see it, did you?
No, man, I was
12. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't say. I think you've always been in my life. You haven't always been in my life.
Club, man, I'm telling you, man, time's a circle I have. I just hadn't showed up yet.
You look good. You good look. You look good. Welcome to California.
Yeah, I'm in California. So if we have any lag time, it's because we're a country and an ocean apart. But
we are that. Jesus, isn't this amazing that
It's
we can
crazy.
even do this?
I know, it's so great. Who would have thought?
You would have thought. I wouldn't
Well,
have
that's
thought.
true. Anyways, all right, well,
Yeah.
let's get into it, man. Tell me about. Well, actually, I have a question about The Invention of Love.
Oh, okay.
Because how did that was originally done in London? Was someone else directing it?
Richard Eyre.
Okay.
Done in the little theater, in the what I can't. It was been called many different things now. It was their little theater in the Round.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think they moved it. They did. They moved it to the West End. But the productions had nothing to do with each other. They were unbelievably different.
Yeah. And so when you get a piece like that coming over, right, and they say, hey, you're the guy here, how do you treat what they did there versus what you're doing here? I mean, you said they're nothing alike, so obviously it wasn't like you had to adhere to it, but...
I mean, Richard Eyre is a dear friend of mine and a brilliant director, and he ran the National... He was the artistic director at the time,
Yeah.
and a good friend of Tom's too. I have to say this carefully because I love him and I revere him, but I didn't understand the play at all. It was it was done in the Round. It was John Wood, the late John Wood, who was maybe the greatest interpreter of Tom's work as a writer. I mean, Tom sort of wrote for him. I think he did. I think there are 2 or 3 plays they did together, and John Wood was virtuoso.
Yeah.
It was a very cerebral, very thick Oxfordian text about A.E. Housman, the poet, who was a sort of repressed homosexual gentleman at a time that was dangerous in England and against the law, and it was very difficult. And he was in love with this beautiful man, Jackson. The names just go anyway.
Sorry.
Character doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Very, very extraordinary play and very rich, and there's Latin in it, and there's all sorts of stuff. So Bob Crowley and I were to do it for Lincoln Center. We had a great success with Stockard Channing and Hapgood originally, which was my introduction to Lincoln Center and my introduction to Tom.
Right.
And so this comes along, and we were both baffled, absolutely baffled. I think I saw it twice. I saw it at the National, and then I saw it in the West End, and I went to sleep both times. So heavy.
Yeah.
And Bob and I did a very interesting thing. We knew there were different styles. Are you sure you want to talk about this? Because there's other stuff to talk about. I'm here doing this play in London.
I know. Here's what I wanted
much I want to talk to you about.
Okay. Well, look, we can talk about everything. We can go longer if we need to. The reason I'm curious about The Invention of Love a little bit was literally just because of this idea of, because I actually wanted to ask you a question in this episode, really, of getting your opinion on something, which is when you feel like you're stepping into your own voice, how did that work? And the reason I kind of brought up The Invention of Love is because I guess, and I want to get his name right, Richard Eyre, right? It's like you revered this man
Oh,
yet,
yeah.
Yet you had to sort of step on his toes in order to
Step
create
on
your.
his.
Well, not step on his toes, but I mean, you didn't
I,
understand the play, right? It's like
uh-uh.
you didn't. So you have this person that you look up to, right? They make something, you don't get it. You're going to get the opportunity to do it. How do you negotiate this idea of being authentic, stepping into what you actually do, and also being the person that can, because obviously, you won a Tony Award for it. And it's funny because you're this person that a lot of times, and this is one of the reasons why I, feel connected to you and I'm so fascinated by you. You're this person that has been revered for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and is also revered for the invention of love, right? It's like
Yeah.
that's not something people normally do. They're on opposite ends of the spectrum. How the
Mm-hmm.
Grinch Stole Christmas and Hapgood,
Mm-hmm.
they're not on the same bill very often. You know what I mean? And so like I'm just
Shocked.
right. Well, yeah, shocked all the way down to, whatever else you've done. And it's just interesting to me to know how you thought about in doing it your way with someone that you look up to and with someone that you revere.
I didn't do anything with Richard Eyre.
Right.
I saw his production and couldn't quite fathom it, and it was a successful show.
Yeah.
I mean, it was not a bomb.
Right.
I mean, it transferred. It had a respectable run. So
Yeah.
I was in, clearly, it was my loss.
Yeah.
But Crowley, whom I love and revere, and was
Yeah.
really smart, didn't understand it either. And we had the most extraordinary day. We decided that we knew that the scenes, some of them were satire, some of them were realistic, some of them were intellectual. I don't know. They were like different styles. And so we had Post-its in different colors. And we sat together like you and I are doing now, and we read the play aloud in my apartment in New York to each other. And at the end we'd say, "Okay, that's a sort of satire, isn't it?" And then we put a blue tag on it. Then we do to the next one. We'd say, "Well, that's sort of realistic. Don't you think that's real?" "Yeah, that's white." And we let everything have its head. Instead of saying, we need to demand how to do this, we let the play out. And then Crowley started.
Who does your music? Just so people know, he does.
Bob Crowley is a scenic designer and often costume designer.
Yeah.
Celebrated on both
Sure,
in
of
London
course.
and many, and he's done. We did the costume. We did all the Stoppards together. He just did my production of the Roommate with Patti LuPone and Mia Farrow.
Okay, great. So you guys are working together. You're letting the play talk to you.
And you just froze, which made me scared. You're just frozen now. No, you're not.
How about now? I'm back.
Better.
Okay.
It's better. Okay, thank you. Scared.
Amazing.
Ooh,
Don't
don't
worry.
freeze. Don't freeze. So anyway, so then he came up with this magical, gorgeous design that was outrageous. It was there were gigantic, sort of classical heads in marble that the characters sat on and didn't even know.
Yeah.
There was a tiny image at one scene of Parliament, a little tiny one. And they were like big giant. It was just adorable. It was wonderful. But the main thing about it was what guarded me, and this has been true all along. I remember when I was in college very well that one of the happiest periods of time in my life. Everybody was sexy.
Sure.
Well, they were. I mean, you look at college kids now and you think, I can't do that. I can't look at them. They're really very beautiful. I mean, fucking skin is beautiful when it's like 18 years old. Yeah. So anyway, so everybody, even the nerds were beautiful. But you have to understand.
Hold on, that should actually be every college's tagline to get people to come. Even the nerds are beautiful. That was...
Jack O'Brien.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the deal was that I remembered we were away from home from the first time. And really what we were doing at 18, 19, 20, 21, we were like birds sort of showing each other feathers for the first time.
Sure.
Oh. We were away from home and relating to each other. And so there was a big, high, hot sexual climate. And I've always believed that has to be on the stage in everything I try to do. It's very influential. What do you mean? Tell me about it.
Well,
What do you mean?
that's what you kept telling me about Safe Space when we were working on it. You're like, there needs to be sex in there. And I'm like, no, it's about identity politics. And you're like, where's the sex?
I think it's always about sex.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Well, that was on a college campus too. So now I understand why you kept saying that.
Yeah. No, but what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is it is about the life force.
Right. Yeah.
And when you put a play on stage, it's 2 dimensions and it's paper, and you have to put flesh into it. Right. And this is and then we'll be done with this for a minute because there are a couple other things I want to talk about.
Well, let's get it. Yeah.
But Tom Stoppard, God love him, is one of the most compellingly attractive human beings I have ever known in my life. He is so attractive to women. Women are, and he doesn't actually do that. He doesn't trade on that. Never did.
Right.
We had to talk about it at one time when he said a woman on a plane was hitting on him, and the stewardess knew and he didn't know, because he doesn't really think that way. But he is he's attractive to everybody. He's a very sensual voice. He has a gorgeous face. He had all that hair, all that intellectual stuff. I'm looking at Tom and I'm thinking, this is one of the most appealing people I will ever know in my life. But when you look at the pieces, the plays, they're deeply intellectual. So shouldn't I put the other thing in there?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, my job, because I'll never be as smart as he is. Yeah. I don't even understand. I mean, he's very patient with me when we work. He spoon-fed quantum physics into me, so that he really did. So that, in fact, for like 6 months, I sort of understood it. Oh, there it goes. You know, I can't retain that shit.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was a life-changing thing for me with that, and I look back on it, and so does Crotty. Richard Easton got a Tony. Robert. Oh man, this is terrible. This is happening all the time now. It's just the names that go. I get them. I'll get it. It'll come to me. Won a Tony. The play didn't win the Tony that year.
No, you did for direction, right?
No. My beloved friend Dan Sullivan won for what's the play about math? It was a wonderful play.
Proof. But wait, I feel like I don't know
No.
what I'm checking, man. Okay, we gotta. Then I really need
No,
to
and I'll
update
tell
your
you
Wikipedia.
why. I'll tell you why that happened. You're frozen again, by the way. Scaring me. Oop,
I'm back.
Scaring back. What happens? Why do you do that? You're trying to frighten me.
Because we're 46 hours away from each other. The internet's only so powerful.
I know that's probably true.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was like it was a life-changing experience for me, and I'm very grateful for it. But when I look back on it now, mostly it was beautiful.
Yeah. Amazing.
And I know that a lot of people. Here's a footnote. I'm really trying to get off this fucking subject.
Well, we are. Me too now.
Well, Margot Lyon, God rest her soul, was the producer of Hairspray. Saw the Invention of Love in London and hated it, and it was done in New York. And somebody said, "I have a ticket. You want to go?" She said, "I would not go near that thing. I couldn't understand it at all." He said, "Please come." So she went. It was a completely different thing. And she said, if that director can make me understand that play, that's the guy who should do Hairspray.
There you go,
That's
man.
how I got Hairspray.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I was re-listening to our last episode too, and we talked about how the choreographer you worked with on Damn Yankees dropped out
Oh,
of Hairspray. That gave, you know what I mean? It's one
Rob
thing led
Marshall.
to another.
Rob
Yeah.
Marshall. I do get names. Rob
Yeah.
Marshall, there's one.
Right. All right.
Robert
Amazing. All right.
Robert
Let's jump to
Leonard.
the present, man. We're gonna jump to
Rob,
the present.
Robert Sean Leonard.
There you go.
I do bear a brain. Robert
I see
Sean
it.
Leonard. Okay.
All right. Amazing.
Okay.
How's it going over there now, then?
Oh God, we're having so much fun. I can't tell you. First of all, I have this entirely British company over here doing one of the most American pieces I've ever done in my life.
Sure.
Which is not only American, it's Nashville, right? Music.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They shouldn't be able to do this.
Yeah.
We're snobs. We're Americans. We're better, right? It may be the best company we've ever seen. They're
Wow.
unbelievable. We love them so much.
Yeah.
And they're just spooning it up.
Huh.
And I'm obviously dealing with them in a way that most people don't. Because most people come over and say, turn, do this. No, say this. I'm just letting them find it themselves.
Yeah.
We're adding stuff that they can do. They are so talented. I can't tell you.
Why do people come over and do that? Okay, is it their own ego, or is that just the process of moving something from Broadway to London? Or
I want the smart ass answer is they're not very good, I guess. Because
let's leave that answer then. I actually like that answer.
I don't think they are.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
that's
hear you.
that's a stupid thing to do creatively. Put
Yeah.
creative people in and restrict them. What?
Yeah, yeah,
What are you doing that for?
yeah. So it's amazing. So it sounds like the company's having a great time. You're having a great
it's
time.
so much fun. I can't tell you.
Yeah.
We're in love. We love them. They love us. They're singing the daylights out of this score.
Huh? Which is it's a great. It's an amazing score.
Do you get to see it? You can't?
No,
are you coming over?
I'm not going to be able to. No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Well, I thought there was a hop, step, and a jump.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. We'll talk about it off air.
All right. Okay. Here's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Last week, Jeremiah and I went to see Nick Heidner's production of Shakespeare's Richard II with Jonathan Bailey, this ascendant new stunning star who won an Olivier doing. Listen, everybody, you wonder who's a great lady in Company. He played the guy not getting married today. He sings, he dances.
Okay.
And they did this. Bob Crowley designed. I mean, they're all part. They've done so much together. Not only Heidner and Crowley, more than Bobby and I have. Amazing. Sure. It's in their DNA. I mean,
Shakespeare, you mean?
Oh my God. I mean, I'm so nationalistic and I love our actors and I love directing our actors. And I'm very, very insistent when I get great parts to put American actors in them because I think they deserve to play them, and they do. And they're wonderful. Mm-hmm. John Lithgow's a great actor here or there.
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke is a great actor here or there. Doesn't matter. But when you see a company like that who have grown up with that sound in their ear and that cadence in their blood, you just have to say, oh my God. We were both profoundly moved and appreciative, and I just had to say it was an authentic experience, and taking my own self, my ego, my ambition, my record out of contention. It was an honor to sit there and see this young, beautiful young actor just eat the part. And funny, rueful, brave, theatrical, sexy.
Great skin on that guy.
Beautiful skin. Anyway, it was a real thrill.
Yeah.
And I was proud to be there
Huh.
and proud to. I'm having dinner with Nick tomorrow night and Curly the night after.
Mm.
These are friends of mine.
Yeah.
They're colleagues, and yet we learn from each other.
Yeah.
And also, I just have to say this. Here we are in London. Spring is here. I'm streaming mucus
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
more allergies than I've ever known in my entire adult life.
Sure.
I'm just wet to the knee here,
Yeah.
okay? But it's so civil and so quiet and clean and respectful. And it's a nice rest to be out of the cacophony and the snarling climate we've inherited, and to feel grateful relief to, as shocking and embarrassed as I am to admit it, that we are here, the beneficiaries of a civilized rest we both felt we really needed. And I don't know if we deserve, but we certainly are having it.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. I mean, you know what I think about when you say things like that? I have this theory. I read it somewhere. Well, I read this phrase somewhere. It was never bet against America. And the reason you never bet against America is not because America is so great. It's because innovation and sort of like breaking out of the past is in our DNA, right? Which is kind of why, and I think about, if you grow up, because I'm always trying to find these connections that you're talking about between the way actors do different things and and it makes sense to me that Shakespeare would be in the DNA of someone growing up in London who dreams of being an actor. It's like, and the cadence and the rhythm, all of that makes sense, right? And it's interesting though, because like the innovation may not ever occur there in the way that it would have to occur in America. And what I'm always fascinated by is that's the story of the Revolutionary War. You know what I mean? Like that's the story of monarchies to democracy. And I wonder sometimes if we inherit that, like you're saying, not just as actors, as everyone. It's like the reason so much tech innovation may come out of America is literally it's in our DNA to push back against the established system to move to another place. And I'm always thinking about that myself because I struggle with this all the time of how do I take this is part of the reason I wanted to have this podcast with you was how do we take that civility and that respectability and that thing that is so precious or meaningful and also continue to innovate without destroying what was so meaningful. You know what I mean? Like, how do you take the good and continue moving forward? Because you always got to keep moving forward, And I just love, I love hearing those reminders of getting to sit in that theater and being reminded of like, oh, this is the genius. This is the goods. Here's the stuff we don't need to lose while we continue trying to move. You know what I mean?
I spent the afternoon, I'm stuffing my company with objectivity differences to know why they're not quite right in the part that they have to learn. And I had this great conversation with them today because I said, look, you live in a small island. You've grown up in a small island, packed with history and art and power. And over the ages, everybody's wanted that island. Mm-hmm. The Vikings wanted it, they didn't get it. The Normans wanted it, they didn't get it. The French wanted it, they didn't get it. Spain wanted it, they didn't get it. The Germans wanted it, they didn't get it. There they sit, these little tough, sort of stubborn Brits.
Yeah.
And they're packed. So they behave accordingly. It bespeaks politeness, rules of civility, to live close together. And so there are ways to behave. We live in a huge country where, as I said a few minutes ago to Jeremiah, a dinner invitation is you bang on a can, open the window and say, we're having ribs tomorrow.
Right.
Y'all want to come?
Right. There's nothing but space in Cobb County. Right, where Shuck takes place.
And if we're loud, it's because we're sort of lonely. We're not packed together.
Yeah.
So what we appear to them is vulgar and loud. And what they appear to us is twee and tidy and tight. And I said, you're having a conversation where in America, that would be a warning.
Right, right.
We just, there's a way to find this. We seem to share that with big country people, Australians, the Russians. You know, they're big people.
Yeah.
Japan, they have walls like paper. They're so tight together, they have to have a metaphor for a compartment, and then they have to believe in it, which makes them formal and elegant and ritualistic.
Yeah.
I mean, there are reasons why we are what we are. And when you start to deal with actors to try to open them up, you're trying to give them some understanding, which isn't a value judgment.
Right.
It's just we come from a lot of space.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting. And
Isn't it?
Yeah, no, totally. And do you feel like our pieces reflect that? You know, can you translate that? You know, I'm thinking about Shakespeare and Arthur Miller, right? I'm not saying necessarily Arthur Miller is the greatest American playwright, but he's in the discussion probably, right?
He's not bad.
He's at one or two I set through. Do you feel like because you talk about Shakespeare and the way you describe Shakespeare with the rhythm and the poetry, and it's like that feels reflective of this island and this civility. Do you feel like Arthur Miller's work reflects, I mean, obviously the sort of death of the the kind of American dream nostalgia versus kind of that process? Is there anything about the writing or anything about that you think?
I don't have a sort of Edmund Wilson objectivity here.
Right.
To sort of you don't even know who that is, do you?
Was he don't tell me. Was he a reviewer that maybe?
Well, he was a critic.
A critic. Did he also though?
Right.
For some reason, who was F. Scott Fitzgerald's publisher?
Oh no, that was yes, no, that's not Edmund Wilson.
Okay, well then no, I don't know who Edmund. I just know the name.
I can see him.
Yeah. You were so excited when you thought I knew who it was.
I got so excited. Scribner. I want to say it's Scribner. His publisher was Scribner. I think maybe it was, but that's a famous editor.
Yeah, and I used to have a book of letters between the two of them. And F. Scott Fitzgerald's just the saddest guy.
Yeah, he's back out there now these days. I read suddenly on the internet a bunch of things about Scott Fitzgerald that are very revelatory and interesting, and it's easy to sort of compartmentalize him and even objective. I mean, there was a gorgeous thing saying some of the most beautiful sentences you've ever read in your life.
To my F. Scott?
Are Scott Fitzgerald's. Oh
yeah, no, I was a huge. I mean, have we talked about this?
No, I was too.
Obviously. I feel like everything we do, we just do at different times. But
yeah,
I was a huge...
Centuries apart.
I used to literally, when I'd meet girls for the first time, I would tell them to go read The Crack Up, which is F. Scott Fitzgerald's short story about basically having a mental breakdown.
Yes, I know something.
I would say, that's my soul. So, know what you're getting into. And it was only later that first off, I think, you know what's really funny, man? I think that part of that version of me is completely dead now.
I know, but you had to expiate him.
That's what I mean. No, I literally had to have a.
No, you were borrowing that, and the drinking and all.
Well, that's what I mean.
And the romance of it.
It was. I
had that with Noel Coward.
Really?
Oh
now,
my God!
What's his story? Like, what was that journey like? Because
Funny.
F. Scott. Go ahead. Sorry.
Coward. I worshipped Coward. He was erudite. He was a playwright. He was a performer. He was a wit. He wrote music. He did it all. I've always done it all. I mean, as a child, they kept saying, Jack, do one thing at a time. I thought,
Yeah.
what a weird idea. Why would
Yeah.
I do one thing at a time? I've never
Yeah.
done one thing at a time. And he was great company. Of all the great things that Coward did and was,
Yeah.
people who were with him loved being with him. I identified with that. I still
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I think my friendship is maybe me at my best.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I'm a great friend, but I'm fucking there, baby. You
Yeah.
know, I don't hold back, and I don't pull punches,
Yeah.
and I don't hide.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and you
Yeah.
had that with Scott Fitzgerald. I know you did.
Oh, I literally,
Wow.
the sort of romanticism of very, very early success meets the emptiness of it, meets
Oh
the
my
drinking
God.
problem,
Yeah.
meets the one that
Crazy
you can-
women.
That's not not in the same way.
Well,
I don't want to say that
Zelda.
about
I mean,
anybody. I know
your
I-
Zelda.
I know Fitzgerald's version. What I'm saying is I don't necessarily agree that my reality was exactly like that, but what I do connect with is the sort of longing for something that is always sort of out of reach, whether that's relationships, whether that's success, whether that's
Or
the past.
The
You know what I
green
mean?
lighted. The
That's
green
what I
lighted.
mean. Exactly. And I had to literally, like you said, I forget the words you said, but it was perfect.
Expiate.
What does that mean? Like
Means-
dig out? Like,
Yeah, spit it out.
yeah. Well,
Get rid of it.
What I thought you said was exorcism, because that's what.
Same. That's not.
Yeah.
That's not wrong.
Well, and that's what it felt like. And I literally, like, I thought it was clever when I was, you know, and also another thing about Scott Fitzgerald that I didn't realize, you know, when I realized it, when I came out to Los Angeles, I mean, I'm here now, so maybe it brings it full circle, a couple of years ago, like 2 years ago, and I realized he came out here to work in Hollywood to die. He didn't come out here to succeed. He came out here because he was so beaten down by life in New York, in France. He had all this early success, and that was the thing I connected with, you know, because I was a
Early
this
successful boy.
all-star basketball, you know, all-state basketball player, turned gonna be college basketball player, turned fashion model, turned big music video star. Like all this stuff was happening.
You're
And
still
then-
impressive.
Well, no, but it's been this 12-year thing where it's like all of a
I know.
sudden my legs were cut out, and then I was just this dead version of myself for 12
know,
years.
yeah.
And I realized it though, and I saw in him, I saw so clearly, oh, he didn't come out here to do well in Hollywood. He came out here to die. And it's basically what happened. He was longing for this woman in a mental institution back in North Carolina. He drank himself to death. He couldn't, and it wasn't who he was, working in this factory system out here, right? But I say all that to say that I used to think it was clever to tell people, because I did resonate so much with it. I would be like, man, go read The Crack Up, like that, you know, and it feels like this obscure reference that people could go read, and oh, I'm mysterious, and he's sad, and he's all these things, and like I started realizing, man, what a doof. Why would I ever say that?
Wait. When did you pitch it out? Was that an active thing?
It was one of my moves. I'd meet someone that I would like, and they'd be trying to, you know, because my whole game would be like, I'm mysterious. He doesn't talk a lot, and that's just because I'm, you know, self-conscious and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But or at least back then I was, and because I felt so depressed and embarrassed, I felt like a failure. But
Yeah.
just like Scott Fitzgerald did, it's like he felt like such a failure because you start with this massive success for no reason other than just accident, right? It's like his big, what was the first one called?
And Tenders Than A?
No. The first
The
one.
Great Gatsby?
No. It's one more before that. I never liked it. I never thought it was that good.
Tenders
But
Than A.
whatever.
Yes, I know. Shoot.
Anyways, it's his first novel. He had this big success really early, and he becomes sort of the toast of the town, and they become sort of socialites, him and Zelda, and they become celebrities, right? He's more celebrity than he is a writer at a certain point. But man, he writes some sentences, and I always thought that The Great Gatsby was such a beautiful book and such a reflection of my own. And obviously, I think we relate to the things we relate to because they're reflecting something in us. And that idea of missed opportunity and not being able to reclaim the past, like all of that, that was me. You know, I was Gatsby and I was Nick Carraway, just like I think Fitzgerald was Gatsby and Nick Carraway. But
That is so cool.
but
This is so cool. We've never had this conversation.
no, I'd see that book. You had it on your bookshelf, the letters, or you had a couple Fitzgerald books that I would notice sometimes when I would
yeah.
there at your house. And
I was
yeah,
a big aficionado. Loved
yeah.
it.
But you've moved through it too. You've moved through him. You've moved through Noah Coward.
Well, I never identified with Fitzgerald except that I found his voice intrinsically American. And I liked the fact that I mean, I love the whole thing about the Murphys and him and Hemingway and their society.
Yeah.
Living well is the best revenge.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I tried so hard to get Stoppard to do a play about Gerald and Sarah Murphy. I wanted Tom to write an American play because he's had an American career, but he's never done that.
Yeah.
And maybe he won't now. But I tried very hard. I thought that was great. And I think he did like the idea for a while, and then he went off it. You can't tell a writer what to write, as you well know. You can't
So
do
I've heard. Hey, all right, then we're going to do that, right? I'm going to write a play, but I'm going to pitch you what the play is. Are you ready? There's a story in A Movable Feast with Hemingway and Fitzgerald where Fitzgerald's worried that his penis is small, and Hemingway takes him. He tells a story. First off, I can't believe I just said penis on this podcast.
I can't believe I can't. I just read this on the internet last week.
I used to want to do a short film about it, you know, because I thought it would be funny. I'll finish it out. Then I want to hear what you think about it. But Hemingway takes Fitzgerald to an art museum to show him that the penises on the statues are the same size as his.
Oh God. I mean, okay, you know, ha.
Right.
Hemingway does not come off well in this situation. I mean,
he's a jerk. You can tell.
Real jerk.
Yeah.
A real jerk.
He's revered and he writes in this stoic sort of way, so we give him this credit. But like, you go read those stories, they're so dumb. Like he's just taking shots at him after he's gone, basically.
What do you think? Do you like Hemingway? Do you like his voice?
No, not really. I don't know. It's fine. I don't know. I don't feel
it's authentic.
I don't feel that connected to it because I think like I've never felt that connected to this kind of
we need Edmund
masculinity thing.
We need Edmund Wilson to have this conversation, which is where we started.
Can we get him on the podcast or no?
He's quite dead, but been dead for a long
who knows, man.
time.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, what a conversation, man. What a conversation. Yeah, I guess we're about to wrap up. So, what are you moving into this week?
I'm having a chocolate bunny. I'm having chocolate egg here.
All right. Because
it's Easter weekend. It's Easter weekend. I'm coming home this weekend.
Great.
I'm away for 2 weeks. I get some time off while they routine, and then I'm coming back to London. So
and you'll be going back for the premiere and the tech stuff. Okay. Yeah. Amazing, man. Well, this is a great conversation. Thank you
I miss
as always.
You. I so miss you. We missed a week. We missed a week, right?
Yeah, well, we sort of chop up some days. We're like 10 days out, but it's all
right. Yeah, okay.
We'll keep moving. Okay. And I'll see you when you're back in New York. I'll be there too. And thank you everyone
soon,
for.
I hope. I think you're coming home soon, aren't you?
Yeah, we're getting there about the same day. So I'll come see you in Connecticut at some point.
Happy Easter.
Easter to you too, man. All right, thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.
I hope so.
See ya.